In a world where quirks really evolved, became stronger, and most importantly, deadlier, was something humanity had to wrestle with. This required certain ways of dealing with it. One of these things was the return of the death penalty a few years ago, in response to the emerging threat of the Paranormal Liberation Front. This news had kicked you in the gut like a mule, as you worked as a medical health professional in a prison for villains. Now you had become responsible for the systematic extermination of them. But that was okay. You could tell yourself that they were redeemable, and that many of them had committed acts of violence so grotesque anything but this would be unfair to the rest of society. Often the deaths were publicly broadcasted across the country, for reasons of propaganda. You couldn't even begin to imagine what kind of person would willingly watch these events. Of course, your husband Bakugou, a pro hero and currently number 10 in the hero ranking, was all for it, as he saw firsthand what these people were capable of. According to him, he saw your job as an extension of his, and proved that the system worked. Only recently understood how this aspect of your job actually affected you. Yet still he always bragged about it to your friends. Luckily today was nothing of the sort planned. Due to it being a slow day, you had decided to go through the piled up paperwork on your desk. Before cleaning up your office, however, there was this foreboding feeling you had. Your own quirk was unrelated to anything that could predict the future, so this really was just a gut feeling. What exactly did it tell you? Simple. It was simply too quiet today. And that meant that fate was going to pull out the big guns. You sat in the cafeteria eating your lunch. Due to the high security of the prison, the inmates were all in their own solitary confinement. So places like the dining hall were mostly filled with relatives of prisoners or guards on break. Your eyes carefully darted around the room. There were strangers amongst the people. There were uniforms of... A cold shower washed over you, and you dropped your fork, instantly having lost your appetite. As quiet as you could, you went to dispose of your now unappealing meal. You felt the eyes of the strangers on you as you left for your office. You were panicking. You hated it. You hated when they showed up. Knowing that whenever one of them came into the prison, at least one person would die. Sometimes innocent as well. These men, they were monsters. In a world where quirks evolved, becoming stronger and more deadly, there was one organization that was actively fighting this threat. The GDE, the Global Defense Effort. And whenever their men knocked on the prison's doors, it meant someone with an unbelievably powerful quirk was sent to your table to be euthanized. To prevent the quirk from wreaking havoc in a society that already was plagued by superpowered villains. With shaking hands, you sat down in your office, grabbing the rest of your morning coffee, not caring how cold it was. Soon, a heavy knock echoed from your office door. As per usual, they just entered without you even answering or giving permission. A man in heavy Kevlar entered. The armor was black, and what little you could see from under that was a bright orange. He wore a black helmet with its visor up, revealing his face. An armband of the German flag was wrapped around his shoulder. The man was pale. His eyes seemed hungry. The one strand of hair the helmet allowed to escape was perfectly white. "Guten Tag," said the man, and without another word he sat down in the chair before you. "My name is Thomas Gutendorf." A German. Great. "I am with the GD. "I can tell," you spoke calmly. "Ah, that is great. Then you are also aware of the reason why we are here." You fidgeted in your chair as he pulled out a document out of one of the armor's pockets. "This is GD test subject 509. Today you will be his executioner." Slowly reached out and took the document. As expected. Code red. Threat level 10. That alone might as well be a death sentence for anyone. "What's his quirk?" you mumbled. Gutendorf chuckled. "It is all there in the document." You put the paper down and folded your hands on the table. "Then just tell me how dangerous he is." "The test subject has shown little cooperation with the GDE forces and is responsible for multiple containment breaches." You shrugged. "And what about these reality things you guys have?" "The test subject's quirk disables the reality anchors we employ, as their quirk is not related to the manipulation of our reality." You blinked. "And even if they were, the reach of their quirk is grander than the reach of our anchors, meaning they get destroyed before even coming close enough." "How many lives have they taken?" The man grinned but didn't reply. Never a good sign. This meant either that the subject in question hasn't killed anyone yet, or the death toll was redacted, mostly out of shame for how many men they may have lost in the containment of this person. You buried your face behind your hands. "Will it be public or secret?" you muttered. "Yeah, basic NPE. NPE. Non-public execution." "Need I remind you of your duties, madam?" "Fine," you sighed. "I'll do it, just let me mentally prepare." Thomas rubbed his hands before looking at one of the pictures on your table. "You have a beautiful husband, madame. May I inquire about his quirk?" Instantly your head shot up. "Is this a threat?" you barked. The guard's grin widened. "This is for the safety of the world. You understood that the moment this all had been reinstated. How long have you been working here, madame? How much have you participated in this?" You sighed. "This is the 5th time you people show up. Just knowing most of them are just born with a too powerful quirk, it's inhumane." The man's face turned soft. "Madame," he sounded serious, "this is important for the safety of us all. This person can level entire cities in seconds. It doesn't matter if they will do it or not. It's the equivalent of having a nuke strapped to you, and you are the only one who can blow it up. But one wrong step, maybe you trip, and it goes off despite your best efforts. This is for the betterment of mankind." A tear rolled down your cheek. "I know, I didn't say I wouldn't do it, just that I heavily object." Now Thomas smiled again. His tone, however, was still serious. "Very well then. We will deliver the subject in a handful of minutes. Prepare the injection, doctor. It will be over soon." When you got home to your husband in the evening, you were still shaken by what you did. As far as you were concerned, the people sent by the GDA were only guilty of the crime of being born with the wrong quirk. Bakugou was lying on your couch, watching something on your laptop as he was chewing on a chocolate bar. "Hey," you muttered into the room. He looked up for a second. "Hey," before looking back at the screen, only to then seconds later stand up. Hey, what's wrong?" Bakugou was concerned, all colors seemingly having left your face. Gently he placed both hands on your shoulders. "Hey, what happened?" "I don't want to talk about it," you sniffled. Immediately he understood. Smiling gently, he guided you onto your couch. "I'll be right back." Quickly your husband vanished inside your bathroom, turning on the hot water for your bathtub before throwing in a jasmine-scented bath bomb. He loved bath bombs. Meanwhile, you stared at your laptop. Bakugou was watching the newest episode of an anime. You blinked and frowned when you realized the art style. You and him watched this show together religiously. Couldn't he have waited for you to come home? You sighed. After what you did today, this really felt petty. Of course you heard him letting the water into the tub. He was making an effort. And this certainly wasn't up from when your relationship started. You forced a smile as a memory crawled its way into your mind. He had been borderline undateable, with his lack of tact and anger issues. Thankfully, his mother had been there teaching you where to exactly punch him, just to shut him up when he went on a rant. After a few minutes, he left your bathroom. Almost entirely naked, save for swimming trunks. "Wanna go for a dip?" he asked. But you were too distracted by the trunks. "Why are you wearing that?" He blinked. "To take a bath with you." "You have taken a bath with me before. Why do you need that now?" Bakugou sighed. "Do I really have to explain why?" He had a mild blush on his face. Impatiently you tapped your foot on the ground. "I don't want... you know..." There was only one thing in this world Bakugou got shy about, but you really wanted him to say it. Mostly out of petty revenge for the anime thing. "Oh Christ, I don't want my boner to get between you being sad and me trying to comfort you. There, happy?" You sighed and got on your feet as you took off your shirt. "Yes, I am," you growled, reluctantly as you walked past him. You stared at the filled bath as Bakugou got in first. "Go on," he said. You sighed and got in yourself, sitting down on his lap. The water was so hot it hurt. A pain gasp escaped you, but soon you got used to it. "Better?" he hushed into your ear. "Yeah," you breathed. His hands gently rested on your tummy, while he nestled his head on your shoulder. "Do you want to talk about it?" he asked after a minute of silence. "Not really." "Are you sure? You seem pretty distraught. Was it them again? The military, I mean." You shrugged in affirmation. Whenever you didn't want to talk about something, he proved unbelievably patient by simply asking questions. Patience he didn't have for anyone else, not even his mom. But it didn't make you feel special. This was the least he could do after all. Bakugou was never one for presents or flattery, which made patience and unspoken understanding his way of showing affection. Quietly you placed your hands on his and intertwined your fingers with the ones of his hand. "I'm a killer," you muttered. "How am I any better than them?" He huffed in thought. "You want to know why there's a clear distinction between heroes and those German super soldiers? You know, the Valkyries and Knights?" "I don't." Bakugou sighed. Heroes represent justice. They're an ideal to strive for. Sure, you hear me say, I'll kill you a lot, but that is me just being me. I don't mean it. But a hero needs the disconnection between, this and that. Otherwise, we would lose our humanity. We punish petty theft with murder because we're so used to it. Because we stepped over the line of death. He rarely talked this deep. It was actually kind of awkward. But eagerly you sucked up every word he said. Soldiers and heroes are two separate things. Well, every soldier, in a way, is a hero. Not every hero is a soldier. So, the reason I can keep doing my job without a second thought is because I know the system will weed out the really bad people for me. I only have to focus on capture, not punishment. And you are the punishment. So, you need to do the opposite of what I do. And the fact this affects you so much shows your humanity, and it's perfectly okay to be that way. But heroes need people like you to know what we're doing isn't just a waste of time. You sniffled. So what? I sacrificed my own sanity so you can have a clear mind? He shrugged. Yes? What I mean is, it shouldn't affect you. At least not until you come home. Thanks to your work, I can do my job without a care in the world. And I can therefore always be here for you and comfort you. Even when he was trying to cheer you up, he just was too focused on himself. But you appreciated the attempt. A lot. You exhaled through your nose until your lungs were completely drained. He was lucky to have you. And you were lucky you were one of the few people that understood him. Now, who did you kill? He said with a smirk after a moment of silence. He sighed. The Germans showed up with one of their subjects, some 19-year-old kid, with a quirk that could tear holes into the fabric of reality, to summon, as they described it, as biological entities. Bakugou made a noise of discomfort. What? Like making a portal and something big and ugly and confused comes through that defies the laws of physics and would rampage through cities. And if it's big and ugly enough, maybe even an entire continent before they're able to nuke it. Bakugou growled. Well, now I'm pissed. You turned your head to look at him as he leaned back, his arms now resting on the bathtub's edge. What are you talking about? I would have loved to fight him and his monsters. You groaned. Of course. Man, it would be like old times, with the Nomus. Sighing, you leaned back into him and closed your eyes. Yeah, right. He chuckled. And then you felt something poke your back. Did that seriously just give you a... Yeah. He blushed and looked away. You groaned, not really being in the mood for this. You growled dismissively, as you fidgeted on top of him to get comfy. Keep it in your pants a little longer. Maybe by then I relax enough to take care of it. His lips curled up into a dirty grin. Yes, madam! You sighed once more before reaching up behind you, your fingers quickly finding the back of his neck. Come here, you said as you gently pushed his head down so he could kiss you. His lips were wet and soft, and quivering with anticipation. Smirking, you let the tip of your tongue emerge from your mouth, gently sliding it into his. Maybe getting your brains blown out by him tonight would turn the shit day into something nicer.